Hi, I'm Bill Doherty, and I want to welcome the viewers to another edition of Bill's Bullpen. Bill's Bullpen is a program that's intended to give folks some idea of some of the activities, organizations, and things that are going on both in the greater Upper Cape area as well as the region. So with me today I have Jack, and Jack, you're going to pronounce your name because although I'm half Italian, and I know that the emphasis is always on the second syllable, I might not get it right. So
Jack Savastano.
Savastano, okay. Jack, why are you here?
Yeah, to tell you, hopefully tell you a little bit about Kiwanis. Hopefully entice some of the people to join us.
Okay. Now, how did Kiwanis start?
Oh, that goes way back. If I remember correctly, back around 1915, some businessmen got together. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to get an organization going, and it evolved into Kiwanis, and we were nationally, mm-hmm. and then it grew international when we started a club up in Canada, and today it's a global organization.
What is Kiwanis? Does Kiwanis have any meaning? I mean, or is it just a made-up name?
There's 2 or 3 different definitions of Kiwanis, but I think it basically reverts back to an Indian name.
Okay.
Of we help or we serve, something on that nature.
Well, that sounds about right. Okay.
Matter of fact, the defining statement of Kiwanis mm-hmm. is that Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to changing the world, one child and one community at a time.
One child at a time. Okay. What do you do for children?
Oh, God, we do quite a bit. Anything we can, actually. Locally, we've got, nationwide, we've got clubs we call them the service leadership programs.
Service leadership, okay.
Yeah, and we have the K kids in elementary schools. Builders Club is in the middle schools. Mm-hmm. Key Club is in the high schools.
Okay.
Matter of fact, there's one here in this school.
And that's Bourne High School?
Yep.
Okay.
And Circle K is for the colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. And then we have what's called Action Club. This is relatively new. Mm-hmm. This is for adults with disabilities.
Really?
And they all have, from Key Club, Circle K, and Action Clubs, they all have their own meetings, and some of them have their conferences.
Tell me a little bit about what they actually do.
You name it, they do it.
Okay.
Basically,
all right. Well, how about
the young K kids?
Okay,
they're more of a learning thing. They help in the community. If someone, like a school, does a clothing drive, they push to get clothing, mm-hmm. and anything like that. And all of the clubs, all the way up, and they just work more towards their level. Mm-hmm. The higher they are, the more they do, the more they get into.
Okay. Now, some organizations have car washes. I remember when I was growing up, and you might be of a similar age, but they used to have paper drives, and they used to recruit kids to do stuff like that.
They do. They still do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Especially car washes in Wareham are popular. Uh-huh. We hold them a lot, or they hold them a lot down at the Wareham Fire Station, but the Key Club and other clubs in the high school.
You mentioned Wareham. What you have a specific club, right? It must have some sort of identification.
Yeah, mine is the Bourne Wareham Kiwanis.
Oh, Bourne Wareham, okay.
Started years ago, back in the 50s, actually I think it was 1940, I've got some notes. 1947
okay.
was the original Wareham Kiwanis Club. Mm-hmm. And that disbanded in the 75, 76
okay.
year. Back in July of 1984, we chartered another Wareham Kiwanis Club, And late 80s, 87, 88, Kiwanis International started accepting women as members. That actually saved us for 2 or 3 years.
The women always save us.
And hate to admit it, but you're right. But back in 97, April of 97, that club disbanded. And then the current Bourne Wareham club, we started back, it was actually chartered on November 1st in 2010. And we are still at it.
Okay. Now, how many members do you have locally?
Right now we have 15 members.
15 members? Okay.
And we are always looking for more people that are interested in joining.
Okay. What is the kind of person do you think would be interested in becoming a Kiwanis? Am I pronouncing that right? Because I have to give a disclaimer. Yes, I did belong to the Kiwanis for about 6 months, a long time ago. Okay, it's Kiwanian, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So what do you think? What would describe a person, that would be interested in becoming a Kiwanian?
Anyone that's interested in helping children.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if they're a grease monkey like I was, up to bankers, presidents of corporations. Anyone that's interested in children, they would be the ones interested in joining.
Okay. What are some of the activities they specifically do for children locally?
Locally, we do some collecting of goods. We help the food pantry, which helps the children.
Okay.
We have a toy drive every Christmas. Those we give to Turning Point, which is a nonprofit that helps disadvantaged families.
Okay.
And obviously the toys go to the children there. And we try to do stuff that if we can, but we're so small, which is the main reason we're looking for more members, both to build up our membership and to help us with more and new ideas.
A lot of organizations are looking for that. I'm on the Vets Council down in Falmouth, for example, and one of the things that they said, that the veterans agents said, that they recruited a lot of new people because they wanted to get new ideas and new thoughts, and also to rejuvenate a lot of the successful programs that they'd had in the past. Now,
Correct.
Okay, now,
Correct.
Tell me a little bit about, do you have any meetings?
We meet twice a month. We meet the second and fourth Mondays at 5:30. Through COVID and recently we've been meeting online, Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
But starting this month, we're going to go back to our regular in-person meetings, which is at Bailey's up in Wareham.
Bailey's, is that down beyond Lindsay's?
Yeah, if you're headed towards Wareham, it's past Lindsay's.
Yeah, okay, because I seem to, I go by it all the time when I go to my aunt. My aunt lives in Marion, so when I get the call, Bill, you got to come over. I got stuff for you to do. So I go by her all the time. I've heard it's a very nice restaurant.
It has very good food and a lot of it. Sometimes you can't eat it all.
Well, I think as we advance in wisdom, age, and grace, I think that's true for all of us. I was just a friend of mine has a great metabolism, and he sent a picture of a plate of fried scallops and what do you call it, and potato salad and everything. I'm looking at him, right, saying, if I even looking at that, I'm gaining 5 pounds. Okay, but what time do you meet?
We meet at 5:30.
5:30.
5:30 in the evening.
In the
at
evening.
Bailey's, the second and fourth Mondays of every month.
Okay. Now, do you have to contact anybody to go, or can you just show up?
You can just show up. It's you can contact people. I don't know offhand without looking at my phone, which I left in the truck, the different phone numbers, but they could contact me either by phone or by email.
Okay, well, you have an email, right? And
I do.
what we'll do is we'll put that at the bottom of the, at the bottom of the screen, and we'll put your phone number on there, when we edit this program. Okay.
That will work.
Oh, yeah, sure it will. Okay, so as I recall, when in those few halcyon days when I was a member of, Kiwanis, we used to meet on a regular basis for a meal and also discussion. And also, there was an opportunity, as I recall, to get exposed to what I'd call the larger world of Kiwanis, to see, where everything else, was engaged and involved. Is that the kind of thing you go through?
It is. Matter of fact, tomorrow I leave for a conference for our district, which happens to be the New England and Bermuda district.
Bermuda?
Our conference is only up in Mansfield, but it's for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Midwinter Conference. We also have one in the fall, plus our district convention in August, and then in June there's an international convention, which this year happens to be in Indianapolis.
Indianapolis. I actually had been to an international conference in Indianapolis, not for Kiwanis, but for something else. And actually, Indianapolis has a lot to offer. When is that conference in summer?
That's going to be in June.
In June, okay. And yeah, that's a good time to go because the heat hasn't started to crank up until July and August in that part of the world. Indiana is an interesting state. Years ago, my wife and I went to a conference, and we went there the weekend ahead. It was in Lafayette, Indiana, and the conference was they had a parade, and it was a like a local parade. And I remember they had the Tilton Tiny Twirlers, a bunch of little kids, and then they had something that I'll never forget as long as I live. They had this little bitty cart, had these two guys that were about our size, and they were being hauled by two enormous hogs. And they were, it was like, that was the first time I ever saw hogs in harness. So you never know. So if you get involved with Kiwanis and you go to Indianapolis, you might see these sites that are very exotic as far as us New Englanders are concerned.
Wherever you go in Kiwanis, you never know what you're going to see.
Okay, well, I think it's very important for people to understand that, let's say, the part where people not only get involved what I'd call serious charitable activities, but also have some fun as they get together, because I think fellowship is sort of very important today.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
When you get the opportunity to do projects, there's always some kind of fun going on.
Oh, yeah. Now, coming up, I think that people need to understand that there's not just physical disabilities where people have to have barriers removed, but there's also other disabilities that come from kids that are mentally challenged, as well as let's say what I'd call an increase in people who are not just mentally challenged but also mentally ill. And I think that all of those families of disabilities, are being addressed, I think, by Kiwanis. They're looking for where, as I understand it, where the greatest need has been identified, and then try to do the most that they can to help out.
Right. We have two action clubs on the Cape, and the majority of all action clubs are mentally challenged. Mm-hmm. But that is not the limit. Anyone that is challenged in any way is welcome to join. It just happens that most of the ones that we have are the mentally challenged.
Now, is that connected with the Special Olympics, for example?
It's not connected. The only thing it's connected to is Kiwanis.
Okay.
But they do have people that that go into the Special Olympics and stuff like that. They do help them with whatever they can. And some of these people are amazing. Mm-hmm. They're mentally challenged, but some of the stuff they do, I couldn't do.
For example?
Oh, so they have their regular meetings. They have functions. They have more people at functions than a lot of the regular clubs do. They're happy to get out. They're happy to do things.
Yeah. I spent some time as a substitute teacher over the years, and I found out that a lot of those folks never have a bad day. Think about it.
Yeah.
They never have a bad day. And whereas, people who are not supposedly, not challenged have a lot of bad days.
This is true.
So I did notice that. So, and I think that if people just looked at the opportunity to participate in that they might have an incentive to let's say to learn from that experience, because that isn't that what it's all about?
It is. It's all about helping and learning.
Okay, tell me how you got involved. What did you do? What did you do for work before you became a Kiwanis?
I was just floating around. I was doing odd different things, but I was a call firefighter on the Wareham Fire Department.
Okay. Do they have a real fire department now?
We do. We have. It's both call and full time.
Okay.
We have a good number of full time people as well as call.
Because I know we're talking about building a fire station in Bourne right now, and they're trying to find a location for it. But anyway, so go on. You were a call firefighter.
And
you're the one that runs into the fire when everybody else is running out of it.
Yeah, this is true. In one respect, I think we're all nuts. Because for that reason, we're running in when everybody and everything else is running out.
Right.
But I was actually, I guess you could say, coerced into joining by the then fire chief.
Was he a relative?
No, it was just the chief, but
Okay.
it was one of the better things that he had done with getting me into Kiwanis.
Oh, okay.
So
wait a minute. He's in public service, and that's how he got. Because I keep thinking of about businessmen, people in the private sector, but he was in the public sector. Okay, so in other words, the encouragement is to get everybody that's in, let's say, that has a job, I guess, that's involved, that could be involved in something like this, to participate.
yeah, it doesn't matter where you work, if you work, if you're interested, we're looking.
Okay, so the first and third Monday night in Wareham.
Second and fourth.
Oh, excuse me. Second and fourth.
fourth.
Paying attention. Okay. Second and fourth Monday at what time?
5:30.
At 5:30 at Bailey's, which is on 28. I think it's 28.
Right on the Cranberry Highway.
Yeah, the Cranberry Highway. Just
Matter
going
of
down
fact, it's 3056 Cranberry Highway.
3056 Cranberry Highway. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the left. I think there was it miniature golf and whatever that is.
Before you get to it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's anyway. It's close by as far as folks in Bourne.
Directly across the street is the old Ocean Spray building.
Boy, that is really old.
It is, but
Yeah.
right now you can't call it anything. They call it Cranberry Commons.
Is that where they have the flea markets?
The flea market is on one end. My church is in there.
Oh.
There's a number of different businesses now in that complex, but it's right across the street from there. That's how I remember the street number, because the church is 3065.
Oh.
Bailey's is 3056, so easy to remember.
Tell me a little about your experience as a call firefighter.
Oh, well, they get a fire, they blow the tones, and we go.
Okay. Well, did you ever get involved with forest fires?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about that.
My regular job, I was with the call department for 43 years.
Wow.
During that time, my regular job for 25 years was with the Massachusetts Bureau of Forest Fire Control. I worked right out of here, Shawm Kroll State Forest in Sandwich.
Okay. Growing up around here, the biggest forest fire that I remember was at Mile Hill in Plymouth where the Marconi Tower is.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
and all the time I was a county commissioner, we kept getting warnings from our cooperative extension people that we're way overdue for a forest, fire, because we put money into fire breaks, on the Cape, in order to, let's say, to do some of what I'd call preventive maintenance, as far as
right.
managing the fires. Now, we haven't had what I'd call a kind of catastrophic event that occurred at that time. What are some of the things that people were doing to prevent that, in your experience as a forest fire
Well,
guy?
they did fire breaks, fire roads. They did a lot of clearing there. But the biggest thing that has cut it down is all the housing. The woods are disappearing. It's all broken up now instead of one solid piece of woods. So the housing does a lot. But if you get an area that's still heavy, it can also go through and ruin the houses.
Well, there's a concern that I've had is if we put more land into conservation, which is a good thing, that we have to also put money with that, with that conservation effort to make sure that the reason we're putting in conservation is preserved.
Yeah, that and cleanup, basically. You could use that word, cleanup, is the biggest problem, or the biggest thing that causes the fires is all the brush
Oh yeah.
around on the ground. If that's cleared out, there's very little to burn to get the big fire going. That one you mentioned, if I remember correctly, that's the one. The only reason we stopped that fire was because it hit the ocean.
I do remember that.
It jumped right over Route 3 like it wasn't even there.
When I was a kid, going down Mile Hill on a bicycle was one of the, was it the right to passage? I remember it scared the shit out of me. All of a sudden I'm on this bicycle, it's shaking like crazy, coming down that hill. That is by way of saying that, kids today are still doing stupid things like that,
Yep.
because they're
Yep.
kids, Yeah. Now, getting back to Kiwanis, we talked a little bit about supporting children. We've talked about, that you are getting together. We've been talking about how important it is to get your purpose out there so people appreciate the fact that there is an organization where they can put their time and energy into that will actually result in in helping folks. You have a group that takes care of Bourne and Wareham area. Okay, where are some of the other Kiwanis down, on the Cape?
Well, here on the Cape, there's Mashpee, Hyannis, Central Cape, Lower Cape, and Sandwich. They're basically six.
Sandwich is Upper Cape, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about Orleans and Harwich and down that way? Is that the Lower Cape?
Lower Cape,
Oh, yeah.
Lower Cape Club.
Okay.
There's basically 6 clubs, including
clubs?
Wareham on the Cape.
Wow. So, in other words, if you don't necessarily live here in Bourne, that there's opportunities to get connected with Kiwanis in other places.
Correct.
Okay.
And you don't have to live in Bourne or Wareham to join.
Okay.
Surrounding towns, if there isn't a club closer the other way, surrounding towns can join. Anyone that would like to can.
Now, organizations have dues. What does it cost to become a Kiwanis?
Our yearly dues are $120.
Okay.
Different clubs have different amounts, but they're all roughly around that amount.
Okay. It turns out that most organizations, the costs of dues are about the same amount. Is there an initiation fee?
To be perfectly honest, I don't really remember. It's been
Okay.
so long since I joined, and we have another gentleman that is the treasurer, so I don't get into that.
Okay. Well, in any case, in today's inflated economy, $120 isn't really a lot of money. So there's that. And the thing is that there's, I think the thing that, it keeps ringing, with me is that it's an opportunity for fellowship and also to do, to do some useful things in the community. And one of the things that we've been talking about, I know my church group has a men's group that has discussions. We've been talking about how guys are tending to get more disconnected and need some place to, let's say, to communicate that isn't buying a condo stool at the local gin mill.
Right,
to have some
right.
place to go that that has a purpose and let's say, and has an opportunity to be with people of a like mind that that want to be, want to have a good time but want to do some something useful. And there's certainly Kiwanis seem to be that way. Now
But-
we've actually, go ahead.
Well, unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder to get new members because of everything the kids have today. The parents don't have the time. They're going to baseball, to football, to hockey, they're going all over the place. And we desperately need more members, new members, but it's very difficult to find people that are willing to join. They either don't have the time or then they've got other things going.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say that the main takeaway here is that there's an opportunity for people to get involved in something useful. Okay?
Yep.
It's not 100 miles away. It's close by.
Right, correct.
Okay, and that you're looking for people to join up, and you're not going to put you're not going to put them through a harassment in order to do it.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
So, what would be the main takeaway you'd want to leave with people about what our visit has been here today?
Well, one of the things of the three major service organizations, Kiwanis, Rotary, and Lions, Kiwanis, membership-wise, Kiwanis is the smallest one.
Okay.
But they do more service and more hands-on projects than both Rotary and Lions combined.
Well, with that, I want to thank you for coming, Jack. Jack's
Savastano.
Savastano, okay, from the Wareham Kiwanis Club.
Yep.
And
Bourne.
Bourne
Wareham, Kiwanis.
Club. I want to thank you for coming, and I want to thank the viewers for spending the time to find a little bit more about it, and encourage them to to show up at Bailey's on the second or fourth Monday in the evening and check it out for yourself, because I think you'll find it's worthwhile and you'll have a good time. So with that, I want to thank the viewers, and you've been watching another production from Bourne TV or Bill's Bullpen.
Is a kid fearless, nervous, playful? Yes. 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 Kiwanis is 600,000 kids at heart doing all the little and big things it takes to help children around the world. Because kids need Kiwanis. All of them.